My name is Jim Garrett. I'm a Republican running for City Council in Roanoke, Virginia.
Great. And tell us briefly your background.
Um, I was originally born in Lexington, moved to Florida as a young child, um, went through school in Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. Then I joined the military, was in the military basically for 21 years, 8 active, and then joined the National Guard to get more educational benefits, and then I took a full-time position in an armory in Farmville, Virginia. As I was reaching retirement, the internet had just kind of taken hold, and I started a dial-up ISP. I ran it for 21 months, and then Intellos decided that they wanted it more than I did, so I sold it to Intellos. I regretted that. After my no-compete, I started a telephone company. That was basically 25 years ago. Since then, I've grown it into quite a company, I would guess you would say. I've built about 750 miles of fiber, and I have customers from Hargrave Military Academy all the way down to Sussex County Schools and Surrey County Schools are two of my customers down on the East Coast. I'm selling the company Monday of this week. The State Corporation Commission approved the sale of it. And August last month, the FCC approved the sale of it. And basically I thought that, I would run for City Council because I would have the time to actually dedicate to working for the people.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that. Why do you want to serve Roanoke as a City Council member?
Well, I moved here 17 years ago. I've been commuting for years. I met my wife here. Actually, I met her online. We met through eHarmony, and she lived here in Roanoke. And I found Roanoke to be a really attractive place to live. We found a beautiful home in a single-family neighborhood, and we bought it and got married. And we've been married now for 13 years. She's got a 38-year-old autistic son that I took on. It's very rewarding to work with him and become part of that family.
Let's talk policy priorities. If you're elected, what's one of the first actions you would push for City Council to take?
If we can get enough people, the first thing I would do would be to rescind the zoning. And I would take a more measured approach and look at maybe RM1 or RM2 and putting that in place with the new zoning for maybe 5 years and see how that worked out. I don't like what happened. It's part of the impetus that got me into this race. You have one person on City Council that says single-family neighborhoods were developed because of racism and redlining. I would never contest that. I think that's very possible, what happened. I've knocked on very close to 1,000 doors, and a lot of people say we have 160 different nationalities, and I've talked to I don't know how many different nationalities in these single-family neighborhoods. So I think that the racism of the past is actually the past. I think there are people from every race and creed that want to live in single-family neighborhoods. When I first started researching it, I couldn't find a single study that said it produced affordable housing. And what I've witnessed thus far, 2 lots over from me, is something that was once considered appropriate for 12 townhomes or 12 homes has now become available to build 24 townhomes on. There's another development that nobody really wanted to touch, but basically what has happened now with the reduced setbacks, that the developers have said, okay, well, it would normally take 10 acres to build this amount of houses. Now I can do it on 5 acres. My land cost is just cut in half. I can really make the margins on that. That produces more housing, certainly, but it doesn't produce affordable housing. And even if you talk to the people that are taking the houses and splitting them up into duplexes, one of them spoke at the council meeting the other night right before the vote, and he says, I don't do affordable housing. So I don't think we're producing affordable housing. We're certainly producing more structures and making more housing available, but I don't think we ought to push to, cram things into every single family neighborhood. I think some people want a single family. I certainly do. It's what I wanted to retire in. I love the home I'm in. I love Roanoke and I love the home I'm in. But it's changed. It's going to change, and hopefully I can reason with the zoning commission. Tony Savolta tried to compromise with them, and there was no compromising with them. Mm-hmm. And one of my concerns is that knocking on almost 1,000 doors, I only found a hand. You don't get to talk to 1,000 people by knocking on 1,000 doors, because some people don't come to the door and some people aren't at home. So I certainly don't want to mislead and say that I spoke to 1,000 people. But the amount of people, out of the amount of people that I did speak with, I could probably count on 2 hands that had any knowledge whatsoever of there was zoning changes going on. And I found that disturbing.
I guess that's the importance of reading local news and keeping in touch.
Well, yeah, it's certainly.
A main priority of council is overseeing a roughly $380 million annual budget. What do you want to see happen with the city's budget over your 4-year term?
Well, I'd like to really examine the budget. I'd like to know what we've, basically over the last 10 years, I know that the budget is the taxes have increased every year, and I'd like to know where the increases are going. I can see that our bonds have increased over the last 10 years. I ran 10 years ago. So I know that's increased. So our capital expenditures have increased. But I'd like to really examine the budget and see where money's being spent. We had a meeting with Dr. White the other day, the superintendent of school systems, and unlike some of my conservative friends, I was really pleased and thrilled with what we're doing in the school system. I think that we increased the budget for the school, because of COVID-19 and all, and we have to figure out how to maintain it, because the reading at 3rd grade level by 3rd grade, I think, is a wonderful program. I was an accelerator reader when I was a kid, and I think it really contributed to my success. I think it's extremely important. And she's doing other things to form groups of peer pressure to keep kids in school and increase the graduation rate. So I like a lot of things she's doing. What really concerns me is there's so many different things that I personally don't like about our tax system. And it's not that I dislike paying taxes. I know that in the rural areas, I think it's Halifax County, Prince Edward County, and there may be some other counties, they have been going to the General Assembly asking them if they could offer a referendum to the people to increase the sales tax by 1 cent and dedicate it to the schools. And I think that just recently passed, so now the voters get to vote on it. I don't think that real estate should be somewhat the primary foundation of our tax base. If you're talking, and I'm sure you will or have talked to Evelyn Powers, we have a lot of people that are financing their tax payments. And some of them don't qualify for relief, but that doesn't mean that they have extra money. I mean, with all the inflation and everything, I'm really concerned about people's ability to pay that. And I think that going through a sales tax is a much better way. I want to keep the funding going for the schools. Safety's huge. Without safety, you don't have a city or an environment where people can live and have an education. Education is number 2 for me. And I want to find creative ways to finance it. I just worry about homeowners and what we're doing to them. The county is 18 cents less than us, which doesn't seem huge, but if we were to raise taxes again, then the county's going to look more attractive. And a lot of people go, well, this or that and all. But if you look at the population over the last 30 years, the county's gained 5,000 people. Over the last 30 years, the city of Roanoke has only gained 864 people. Are we going to create a situation where the county looks more attractive than the city does to people coming to the area? I think we have to be careful about that because we need the population growth, because we do need to expand our tax base.
Roanoke's residential neighborhoods remain highly racially segregated. What role should city government play in dismantling that legacy?
So, that statement kind of bothers me because I think they may be racially segregated because of the cost of particular housing in there. They're not racially segregated because of anybody blocking them in any way. If you could show me that, I would be very disturbed by it. I don't see that. One of my things is my business is informal, so I've purposely not done business in Roanoke so that I wouldn't be captured in it if I decided to get involved politically. But I've given thousands of dollars to Habitat for Humanity. It used to be Farmville, Prince Edward Habitat. Now it's Piedmont. It encompasses a larger area. Jane Johnson just retired last year. Wonderful lady who really did incredible things. I think Habitat for Humanity is one of the most wonderful organizations there is. My remarks to City Council the other night were, why don't we create a line item in the budget and devote money to it? It really I found it disturbing that we're spending $14.5 million on Eureka Park, which is important. If you work hard, you have to play hard, and we need places for kids to spend time and not have idle minds. But if you're really into affordable housing, why not take a couple of that million of that and place it in the land bank and work with Habitat? I'm all for putting a line item into the budget every single year to work with Habitat for Humanity, and I'm talking $1, $2, $3 million, whatever we can, to help people buy housing. It really bothers me when we start talking about real estate taxes. There's so many people that rent, and I think people get caught in a rental trap. And I don't think that they feel like they're part of the community if as much a part of the community without home ownership. And I think we need to create way more homeowners than what we have. When we got apartments that are $1,200 for a one-bedroom apartment, I know people can afford it. But, you know, back in the day, I would have just been so alarmed at that. I'm pretty alarmed about it now. I think we need to create more home ownership. I don't know. At times I want to say I'm a physical conservative, but I'm very much a people person, and you know, I'm for the education and what the schools are doing, because we're going to end up with people without education. We'll have more street people and everything. You know, it's pay me now and pay me later. If you develop more home ownership, then you have people feeling more of the community. I think it's all part of community development.
How would you work to implement the city's climate action plan? Or do you disagree with its recommendations?
No, I don't disagree at all. If you ever wanted to come to my house, you're welcome. I have a huge solar array in my backyard. And then my house is built with 2x6s in the walls. And then I have 2 inches of insulation for the drive-in. So my walls are 8 inches of insulation. All my outside walls, I have 24 inches of insulation up in the attic. My wife drives. I have to drive back and forth to Farmville. I am not ready for a totally electric vehicle, but my wife drives a hybrid. We bought it in March, and she hasn't put gas in it since April because she drives around town, runs her errands, she plugs it in, and we have enough solar panels that it pays for it. I think it's wonderful. You know, I think anybody that argues against just basic common sense, you have to kind of do a double take.
So how would you work to implement the city's climate action plan?
Well, you know, I think we need more solar. I think this new bus station is an incredible place to put solar panels. You know, we need to reduce our electric bills. That helps the taxpayers. You know, it helps everybody. We need more canopy. You know, I mean, again, you know, I planted all kind of trees in my yard. I've had some that some of these oak bugs, I don't even remember what they said they were, that have killed some of my oak trees, probably all around. But, you know, and I found it very alarming, and sometimes I'm bad with names. There's a lady who runs the bus riders group, and she teaches at Roanoke College.
Laura Hartman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wonderful lady. I really enjoy talking to her. And she was alerting us the other day that we only have one person in the office that's implementing this. Well, and then she said, I can't remember what city it was that has 6 people. You know, I don't know what the 6 people are doing, but I think it's clear that one person is not able to do much. You know, I don't know if they need 6 people. I don't know what we need, but I told her that if I got on council, I would certainly want to sit down and take a look at what we're not doing and how we managed to get it done. Little Molly, who is the neighborhood, and I shouldn't say Little Molly, that's
Molly Hunter, the neighborhood services coordinator.
I think she might think I have a crush on her because I just applaud her every time I see her because she's so positive, upbeat, and she brings so much to the table. You know, and I think we need at least one more of her. And I think we're in that situation with the climate office that we have here. We need more people, and we need to educate people. I was really disappointed. I have a 38-year-old autistic stepson under our care, and I've really, it's been challenging to teach him how to recycle, and because he has to get it into his mind things, and he's doing pretty well with it. But I'm huge on recycling because, again, these are logical things. Why wouldn't I have a solar panel so I don't have to constantly buy gas, and I get electricity for free? You know, and if you do the numbers, you know, you need to negotiate with the people who install solar panels as well, and I did. But I found out that we're not recycling nearly as much as we're turning in, even though we're turning in the items that they say. We just had a solid waste briefing the other day, and they said, that we're just so far in the red because we're trashing so much of the stuff, which disappoints me. It's disappointing. Things that are logical. I mean, I think people think that because I'm a Republican that I'm not logical and don't do smart things. I didn't get successful for doing dumb things, and I think that there are certain things that are just logical and the smart things to do. Obviously there's climate change going on. I mean, some people can deny it. I don't think it's a gimmick or anything, and I work hard to recycle and do what I can to do my part.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk more about housing. You're on record opposing current policies that ended exclusively single-family zoning. What's your solution to encouraging the development of more affordable housing?
Well, again, I would like to have a line item in the budget for habitat. We had the discussion early on in the campaign about Evans Springs, and I'm not sure that I got quoted correctly on that. I think that we need to develop that. One of the things that I've always appreciated, Forest, Virginia. There are parts of Forest, Virginia, and if you go down to parts of Myrtle Beach and Charlotte, most cities nowadays, there are parts of them that are almost like little old-fashioned downtowns, where they have housing and businesses and housing and business, and I think that's what we've developed in a lot of cities, including Roanoke downtown. But I think we need to focus on grants that incentivize more affordable housing, and I think Evans Springs could be just a wonderful example of it. I'm not for a big Costco. I made that clear. I think if we bring in a Costco, we're going to put BJ's out of business. We've already got Burlington building out there that's empty, and then we'd have another big empty building. Plus, we'd have all the pavement and all, and then we'd have to plant I don't know how many trees for that much to compensate for all the asphalt that we put down there. But I think since the city owns some of that land, that's a great opportunity for them to mandate what goes there. They don't own all of it, of course. But government can only mandate so much.
They own the stormwater facility there.
Yeah, but they own part. But don't they own? Am I mistaken? I've looked at the map. I think they own more than just. They own part of the land there.
Not much. No.
Okay. Well, then maybe we can buy it as a city and then develop it. I think it would be a good opportunity to kind of right the wrongs of Gainesboro. That's kind of my approach to it. And again, home ownership. I think we can do things. Mm-hmm. I didn't like this blanket thing of what they did, and I'm not against changing some of the zoning in places. One of the things that just disturbed me, under the old zoning, if your neighbor decided to change their house, there was a hearing and you got notification about it. The people within, I don't know what the regulation or the law says, but you would get notified of it. We changed every plot in the city, and in my mind, if I were running the city government, I would have sent out notification to every plot in the city. Just like if they were a neighbor, because now there's a neighbor that's going to do something, somewhere in the city, and somebody's going to go, wait a minute. And there's so many people who don't read the local news, which, it's a shame. And I don't have a solution for that, but I just don't think we informed everybody of it. And when you're changing people's, what I consider kind of a right, I think they need to be informed. So,
You are among a group of homeowners that is suing the city over a townhouse development in the greater Direly neighborhood. If that's the response to a new housing development, how can Roanoke increase its housing stock?
Well, see, you're painting with a broad brush, Henry. Before the new zoning, that was zoned for about 12 townhomes or about 12 single-family homes. So there's more townhomes going in there versus, so when the initial plans had more affordable housing, this thing flipped several times and all. I never raised my hand. I never did anything. When it was talking about 12 townhomes, I never said anything. When they started cramming in 24 townhomes, I said, that's a bit excessive. And when we went and started looking up the laws and everything, and when we filed suit, the city had broken 6 state laws to approve that. 6 state laws. And one of the things that was most disturbing to me was that they said, okay, you only have to have 1 driveway for every 2 townhomes. And if there are 2 cars per townhome, that means you could have as many as 36 cars on the road or parked on the side of the road, which would have gone way down into the subdivision there and all. And it really violated state fire code because they weren't going to widen the street. You know, if they'd have had appropriate or adequate parking or widened the street, but you know, one of our arguments was, you know, fire trucks aren't going to be able to get through there, and the city's reply was, well, you know, fire trucks have problems getting through in Raleigh Court. And I go, wow, you know, so we made a mistake there. Let's go ahead and create some more mistakes instead of making it right. You know, I just don't think that it's the right thing to do. 12 townhomes, I'd withdraw the suit tomorrow. I don't mind the townhomes or more people. I just think they're creating a mess right there.
Gotcha. There was some, I feel like, some opposition to the initial.
I wasn't a part of it.
Right, but you were not part of it.
I was not a part of it. Yeah. I got the notifications and everything, and I left it alone. I was not a part of it.
You're going out to dinner in Roanoke. Name just one place. Where do you go? Well, I go to Billy Ritz, and well, I used to really like the Quarter back when it started up and all. I'm not going downtown as much as I used to. I go to Montano's quite a bit. Billy's, though?
What's that?
Billy's downtown?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you like there? Anything particular?
Shrimp and grits. Mm-hmm. Shrimp and grits. Because I used to get that at the Quarter. Mm. I loved it when the Quarter opened up. Actually, it was one of my favorite spots. And then the food was, well, I don't think I should.
Maybe there's a reason they're no longer there.
Yeah.
Our final question is the standard. What books are on your nightstand? What are you reading currently?
I've got several books on my nightstand. I haven't picked any of them up in the last 6 months, probably. I read a lot of technical stuff. I actually licensed my telephone company myself. The attorneys wanted $100,000. So I've been through all the rigmarole of saving myself $100,000. It cost me about $6,000. I developed the telephone company from scratch, so my life is being spent pretty much technical stuff. I hope to sit down with people. Well, actually, my secretary just bought me the biography of Jimmy Carter, so I need to read that. I do have my Bible by my nightstand. I do read it, but my secretary has very different political views than me, and I praise Jimmy Carter. I wasn't a fan back when so much he was a president, but I think Habitat for Humanity was I don't know what you could, if it was mine, I could go to my grave and I'd have it on my tombstone. But I'm not as, and I will tell you this, when I reached the first grade, I was reading at a sixth grade level. When I was in the sixth grade, the teacher had me take the kids of color who had come into our school. There were 7 of them. It was during, when we were, I guess it was 66 or so. And I had to teach, well, I shouldn't say had to teach. I just taught them to read. I didn't know what I was doing. So I used to be an avid reader, but I work all the time now. So I don't think, what was her name? The woman who was a Republican, the Alaska governor.
Sarah Palin?
Yeah, that she didn't read anything.
That's true. What newspapers are you reading? Right.
Well,
I
I read the Roanoke Times every morning. When y'all put something out, I read it. I actually read Cardinal News. I was kind of amazed this morning to see the endorsement of Evelyn versus Benjamin Woods. I'm not in the inner crowd of all that. But I'm a big news junkie at this point. But I'm selling my company, so hopefully I have more time to sit around and drink coffee in the morning and read. But most of my life I've worked 70 or 80 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you.